We are live, folks. Welcome. Another great show here, show number 9. This is the forecast, no pun intended. And the world is literally blowing apart. The markets are taking a piss, they're taking a shit in their pants, and it's wonderful. I'm here to keep everybody optimistic and positive. You know why? Because out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. And we're going through the burning of the whole entire global bullshit story, and out comes a new story, which is going to be a much more positive one. And if your XRP is in the dumps, you should be celebrating and going out there and buying some more. And blessed these days, because you're never going to get them again, ever again. And it's happening right now as we speak. It doesn't matter. $1.75, it's a fire sale. You got extra money, you got junk in your garage. One man's junk is another man's treasure. Get rid of your junk and turn it into your treasure called XRP or Bitcoin or whatever floats your boat. I happen to like XRP. A lot of people here do. Today's topic is tariffs. The world's is blowing apart because of the tariffs, because the markets don't know how to react. William McKinley was the guy that had tariffs. And when William McKinley was, in charge of shit, okay, this country was truly the wealthiest country in the nation. All of the smart corporations are coming back. All the smart corporations, let me give you a hint. They're already here. They're ready to manufacture in the United States of America, and they're ready to put America back on track, making it the beacon of hope and the country to copy. You know why? Because we have life extension technology. We're going to have the most amazing corporations. We're going to have people that have a lot of surplus cash in their pockets. They're going to be able to invest in XRP, get positioned for wealth, and we're going to give you the life extension technologies real soon. We're going to live to be 1,000 years old, okay? And everything is going to be wonderful. The future looks great. Guys, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Mel. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I just got back from hanging out with one of the most amazing CEOs ever in the nutritional space, a guy by the name of Bill Gould. And I tell you, what an incredible, incredible guy. A company called Equinox. And what an incredible dude. I mean, just literally amazing, amazing stuff. I was able to hang out with Joby Weeks in Colorado, then flew into Dallas. Just amazing, amazing stuff happening all over the place. And I tell you, I've had an incredible, incredible experience just hanging out with Joby Weeks and learning his entire story about how the government really took him for a ride. And I can't even mention his name. His name has now been put into the algorithms, which means we're probably going to be in the shitter as far as viewership today. But I don't really give a shit, because I don't reflect the New World Order, as you know. Let's talk about the tariffs, Mike. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. People are afraid. The markets don't know how to react, because it's been 100 years since we had tariffs, and we bring them back because they work. Donald Trump happens to be the most brilliant businessman alive today. He's as good as they get, okay? So let's talk about that. What's front and center on the tariffs on your end?
Well, what completely cracks me up is all of these, Twitter clowns that are all paid bots and stuff that suddenly know more about business and tariffs than the guy who's worth $7 billion, self-made billionaire, Donald Trump. They know more about tariffs than he does. So just listen to them. Tariffs are a tax. Tariffs are terrible. And even people like Robert Fourth Reich, who was the little Lilliputian little tard that was Bill Clinton's economic advisor. Somebody was repeating a post he put out today on Twitter, back in 2020, and it said the richest 0.1% own 17% of stocks. The richest 1% own 50% of the stocks. And the bottom 50%, that's us, you and me, only own 0.7% of the stocks in the stock market. Repeat after me, the stock market is not the economy. So you know who this is hurting? This is not hurting you. It is not hurting me. Our 401k balances may be a little bit affected temporarily, but who this is hurting, who this is making squeal, are the richest top billionaires that are Democrats anyway, that are supporting their satanic agenda, and they're getting pounded in the ass like they were in a Turkish prison right now. They are losing it. They are taking it, and they are. Trump put it out there with no lubrication. This is hurting them, and for anybody to claim that Trump is trying to help all of his billionaire buddies. It's exactly the opposite of that, because the stock market is a bunch of con men, basically stealing off the wealth and the labor of the working class. That's what the stock market is. Most people aren't really heavily invested in the stock market. If they're smart, they're in gold and silver and XRP and things like that. And XRP, by the way, is $1.90. That's a bargain. Go buy some more. I'm going to go buy some more as soon as the show's
that
over.
today.
So it's a good price, and it's a bargain. So the thing about tariffs is this: there's not very many ways you can respond to a tariff, right? You either give up your own tariffs, which means you have to buy more American goods because American goods come down in price in your country relative to the crap that you're putting out, all the Chinese crap you buy at Walmart. Or you can do something else, Mel. You know what that other thing is you can revalue your currency. So when Donald Trump puts a 43% tariff on all goods from Vietnam, which is every Nike shoe, when Donald Trump puts a 34% tariff on Iraq, what he's doing is applying pressure to them to respond in the only way they can, because they don't really have products. The only way they can respond is to revalue their currencies, which is what we want, which is what everybody who's following the revaluation process wants, and that will set a series of dominoes in motion. I mean, the tariffs themselves were the first domino to fall. Now the market reaction is the second domino to fall. The third domino to fall is going to be one of these countries is going to crack, and they're going to revalue their currency. Trump was, again, I just watched him in the Oval Office before we came on the show. He was talking to the press, and he was saying to people, we're also going to go after the currency manipulators. And when he says that, he means maybe not Iraq specifically, but he means Vietnam. He means China. He means countries that keep their currencies artificially low. So everything he's doing is to force this currency reset, which is the key part of the new financial order that we're all going to be living in 5 or 10 years. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic. I'm just waiting for that other shoe to drop and for Iraq to say, well, we have no choice. The only way to respond to this really is if we revalue our currency. And guess what? It's worth $3.22 or $3.91 or $4.91 or $5.12 or whatever it is.
Right. These tariffs could really play into the reevaluation of all paper currency. And I watched it today. I'm about to put in the chat room, okay, on Rumble. If you're following us on Rumble, it's a good friend of mine, Rob Cunningham. If he says something is powerful, it is powerful. You can take it to the bank. Now, I haven't had a chance to look at it myself. The first hour is nothing but tariffs. And if he puts together an educational piece and it comes from the man himself, Rob Cunningham, you could take it to the bank. And here it is. You guys can research that later. You might want to maybe talk about that short video that I sent you guys earlier in our little group chat. How the guy's basically saying, hey, BMW, IBM, Apple, all the big companies are already entrenched in the United States, ready to bring in employees from the United States, allowing the money to circulate in the United States.
Right.
First time in a long time.
The thing is, Mel, until you talk about the chaos this is created in financial markets, my response to that is, so what? The only people it's really hurting are the fat cats. Okay, and these are people who are in the stock market. You're leeching off the economy. You are not contributing to the economy. A business owner is not a stock market investor. That's somebody who's just a freaking leech who sits on the sidelines and plays the game like he's in Vegas, where I live, playing blackjack or roulette or something like that. That's how he's making his money. So the financial markets, I hate to agree with Robert Forthreich on anything, but the financial markets are not the economy, and this is not going to hurt the average person. It's going to be short-term anyway. People talk about, we're going to have inflation. Well, guess what? The other thing Trump's talking about is getting rid of the income tax. So the difference between the average American family pays $15,000 a year in income tax. They lose about $7,000 to inflation. On average, the average American family, if they take away the income taxes and institute the tariffs, and we have inflation like we've had the last 4 years, the inflation stays the same, the average American family is still coming out ahead by almost $9,000. So that is the master
And
plan.
today, I don't know if you guys saw, I just sent it to you, Mel. And by the way, guys, I'm in the car. We did a road trip this weekend to a wedding we had in Georgia, and so we're now traveling north, and we're in Philadelphia. So if I cut out, that's why. But I just read that Trump
If you cut out,
also
it's because you got
announced
carjacked.
or I got carjacked, one or the other.
You're in Philly.
However, what I just read is that they're looking at ending capital gains tax. Did anybody pick that up? And that is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Who's that going to really hurt?
Well, there's a lot of uneducated people there that are trying to read the tea leaves, but they're going about it the wrong way. They're listening to Communist News Network. They're listening to Fox, which tells you bullshit news, which the ABC always broadcasting crap. Okay. And so, when you talk to them and they sound like CNN, it's because that's who they're listening to. Right. And they're just regurgitating. They're just a bunch of parakeets who don't stop for 1 second, don't read, and go dig and find out some real shit like we like to dig, right?
Yeah. And I still this weekend I was around some of the nicest, most intelligent people, successful, salt of the earth. No one that worked on Wall Street or in the financial markets, these are millionaires, have no clue about Nasara.
None.
Have no clue about the revaluation, have no clue, so it's all comes down to what we've been talking about, getting these censorship gone because our voices aren't being heard to start getting the word out more and more. But I did tell every single person I met that they have to tune in, because when I use a few buzzwords and they're like, what's that? I'm like, well, I'm not going to start explaining, my head. I'm not going to start explaining here at a wedding. I'm here to have fun. Follow the follow our podcast. We go live every Monday. So,
I spent the weekend with David Hatcher Childress, of Ancient Aliens. Ancient alien theorists say yes. Ancient astronaut theory. And he doesn't believe any of the currency stuff. And I'm like, okay, don't buy any. That's fine. I'll see you, in a year or so, or 6 months or 5 months or a week. And, it's like, that's not the way it works. The government's not going to give up all their advantages. And I'm like, there are people who should be connected, Laura, who still don't understand this incredible, complete shift in humanity's thinking that's going on. And they still are locked into the matrix of everything has to come from the government controllers and the bankers down. And I think we're throwing that out the window.
Yeah. Before I forget, guys, condolences go out to David Straight and his wife. David Straight unfortunately passed away on April Fool's Day. I know a lot of conspiracy theorists are going to call me, say, Mel, he died on April Fool's Day. He's still alive. Okay. And I know you guys are, hey, listen, I believe he's not alive. Okay. And I even hate to go there, but the reality is stop doing that. You know what I mean? Not everybody's still alive. I want to get Laura, because Laura, she basically listens to all of us, and then she looks at the stars and she looks at some numerologies and some tarot cards, and she's going to tell us if we're right on track. Laura, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here. Yeah, well, listening to everybody and just what all this is about. I mean, I feel like the deeper goal is to bankrupt the deep state. I mean, it is a total shift of power. I think the parasitic part of this system is shifting. I mean, I feel the tariffs are protecting domestic interests in the United States, right? So it's a whole different system. And what I'm seeing in the stars really is the discomfort of all this. So many have been conditioned to hate, Trump, to hate Elon, to show incredible aggression, even though, rewind to Biden's administration, if there was any expression of digging deep into some of the anomalies that were going on in that administration, it was looked down upon and frowned down upon, when it wasn't even anywhere close to the level of violence and retaliation that we see on the other side as we move forward. So the sun and Chiron are conjunct right now in Aries, and the full moon is going to be really enhancing that particular placement with a square to Mars. So it's almost like this violence and eruption is going to grow while things are sort of reworking themselves into a new direction and trajectory when it comes to the financial. Uranus and Taurus. Taurus has to do with abundance and the financial. So, and I think the eventual bankruptcy of the deep state, which is what everybody is so tied into, that it's almost like the anger is like a withdrawal, while also not seeing how dangerous the substance they've been addicted to actually is. So there's not really a withdrawal; it's just being like yanked away from them, and it's just like, what are you doing? And they don't seem to realize that this is a major upgrade, but the upgrade has to be something that we're all participants in. So the freedom of speech is really important. So as Uranus leaves Taurus, it's going to enter Gemini. Uranus connects with the higher mind. It connects with synchronicities. It connects to just like downloads and just things that are more connected to cosmic and natural law. So we're seeing a shift that is more based in something that's sustainable in our advancing human nature versus something more parasitic. So the bridge between the two is really igniting some severe aggression and wounds, and very much like in families, because this is lineage stuff being passed down generation to generation. This is what people are carrying in their persona because this is what they were taught. It's not just the school systems. It's like deeply entrenched in your family, your lineage, and so Mars and Cancer has to do with that. So I don't know exactly. I've kind of been out of the loop a little bit with what's kind of going on in the world, but I have an important message coming in right now that I'd like to share from the senior advisor to the Earth Alliance, who's definitely trying to get Trump's attention. And he said China's objected. He taught them how to do that. They're still following his plan. Trump can help, but they won't let me teach him how, not just yet. And basically, it's the people that finish the job, and by taking the cartel money away from them. So when we look at, bankrupting the deep state, we're needing to seize the millions of homes that the cartels are using for their money laundering operations, and also just some of these deeper levels, and I think that's also a part of this Uranus Taurus thing, and I guess I'll kind of keep it at that. I don't know if I have too much more to share, just because I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on. I have a few more notes that I've taken recently, but I think that's enough to chew on maybe with the astrological. Just be very careful of some people right now. Like if you notice them getting really triggered, and I think it has to do with the 5G and some of the things that have been infiltrating the consciousness of humans, that the aggression is going to come out of left field. It can be very wounding and injuring. And when you start to notice somebody start to emote and act like they're about to lose their shit, you might want to run for cover.
Well, I totally agree with you. The problem is this, and this is a very easy problem to fix, in my opinion. If you don't know nothing about nothing, and you don't want to learn nothing about nothing, the best thing you could do is say, I don't know, and walk away, smiling. Do it while you're smiling, okay? Because if you try to make an argument about something you know nothing about, and then we call you out because we are schooled, okay? We go to the school of hard knocks, and then we confront you and we make you look like the dumbass that you are. Okay, it's embarrassing for you. So don't get embarrassed. Just smile, say, I don't know, and walk away. Simple. Welcome to CarminesGold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple. Time is of the essence as the walls are closing in. This crash is visibly in motion right now. Don't kid yourself. The only way to preserve wealth is to become your own central bank. Just by owning gold and silver, the banks that are going into survival mode are currently stacking gold and silver like it's going out of style. You have the same opportunity instead of keeping your money in paper, which is worthless. Again, this is not financial advice. Going into survival mode is everything. Preserving your wealth and positioning your family to thrive in the near future is paramount. The time to take action is beyond crucial. God's money cannot be faked. It's got intrinsic value. It's got plenty of usability. And because the crypto game can be extremely complicated for most, this becomes the only way to preserve your wealth in the current times we live in. The price manipulation that has occurred over the last 150 years is about to come to a full stop as we move into an extremely different world. And the true value of gold and silver is going to shine like never before. The people who vividly see what's happening have moved into panic buying right now. The people who get it, who are positioned for wealth preservation, who are accumulating every week, every month, stand to change their course of history for 100 generations to come. Buying gold and silver from parminesgold.com at unbeatable prices is the best decision you'll ever make. I'm going to end by saying this. This is my opinion and not financial advice. This crash is knocking on the door, and it's clear. It's here. We can fill any size order, $500, $500,000, and yes, even $10 million. Your best option to preserve wealth, if you don't understand cryptocurrency, is gold and silver. Do it now.